Welcome to the Tribe of Leaders podcast. I'm serial entrepreneur and investor Emmy Kirshner, and I'm known for sprinkling just a little bit of glitter throughout the streets of Philadelphia and on the stages that I speak, while I help creative entrepreneurs stop struggling as the overworked admin in their business and become the CEO of their multi-6 and 7-figure businesses. What has fascinated me over the years are the stories of success and failure that courageous entrepreneurs who have put it all on the line face as they change lives, disrupt industries, and become incredible leaders themselves. So if you're looking for a community of engaged entrepreneurs and you'd love to get some resources and tools that can help you fast track your business, I invite you to join the Tribe of Leaders Facebook group. The link is in the show notes if you want to connect with us, and of course, the group is free to join. Hey everybody, on today's episode, I have Dr. Andrea Greiner. She is a naturopath, an acupuncture, and the creator of an energy healing modality, ray of light meridian therapy. Her patients, clients, and all of the people that are following her know her as Dr. G. And I just have to share with you that she shared, and we went through the whole process of going through the light or the ray of light meridian therapy. And I had this like crazy, itchy, scratchy throat that I'd been like coughing, and like there's nothing wrong with me. It was like no congestion, no nothing, just this itchy, crazy cough. And we did this process. And then I'm going to say an hour and a half, it was gone. And so powerful. I can hardly wait. Thank you so much for being here, but I can hardly wait to hear how you came up with this whole process and really dive into not only your growth, but how this is transforming the lives of other people. So Dr. G, welcome to the Tribe of Leaders podcast.
Thank you, Emmy, and thank you for sharing that. I know it's always intimate to share a healing experience, and it does really help other people to hear that how it benefits. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. And I love like these types of things because they do, they sound kind of woo-woo for those people who aren't totally on board with alternative healing therapies. But when you have such a radical shift, and I'd had this cough for like a week and nothing was helping. And like I went to the doctor and the doctor's like, yeah, you've got a cough.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, thank you.
I do have a cough. Yes, thank you. Yeah. So I'll share a little bit about what ray of light meridian therapy is. Yeah. So it's an energy healing form. So Emmy is where she is and I'm in Oregon, and we did this through Zoom. So it's a distance healing. And as a naturopath and acupuncturist, really, I believe in our innate ability to heal. And as COVID came through in March, all the clinics, all the small acupuncture places were closed. Now it's closed full time because I've transitioned online. And I just held this question of why can't we support people anywhere, even through distance healing with acupuncture, but more of a sense of energy acupuncture. And through some mentoring, I was really guided that I'm supposed to create this healing form that allows us to access our energy meridians. And so I just jumped because I really knew that I was supposed to be impacting people in a different way than what I was doing in a clinic. Mm-hmm. And I love acupuncture. I love the physical stuff. I love naturopathic medicine, but often that's not enough to shift people. And so this form really came through by just jumping in and saying, okay, I'm going to hold these groups of healing sessions. And the form literally, I kind of feel like it was divinely given to me after my own work of my own meditation practice. I had secretly been doing energy acupuncture on people, and I would never have said it out loud until all this came through. Because I was just like, well, I wonder, it was before COVID. I was like, well, I wonder, and why not try? And really the form came through. So it's a combination of visualization, light therapy, and then the ability to access your energy meridians from anywhere. So Emmy was in her space and I was here, and I inserted needles for her in the specific areas and actually watched her wow, this cough is interesting. And I was supporting the energy of whatever needed to either, sometimes a cough needs to come out or sometimes it needs to kind of dissipate in different ways. And so it was really made for groups as well. So Emmy and I did it one-on-one, It's coming through to support groups of people so they can really create more cohesion in the workspace or yoga studios or, other places that are really diving into their spiritual development and healing.
What I loved about this is, just so that everybody knows too, like you're in Oregon, I'm in Philly. So we're talking 3,000 miles and across the country to have this whole energy experience. And I could physically feel it, like not in anything that was uncomfortable or painful, but I could feel the energy, moving through my body, and it was super cool.
Yeah. And then what I love, so my other part is I've always been an empower of people. Like I want people to always feel empowered, whether it's with a naturopathic treatment plan or other plan. In the Ray of Light Meridian Therapy, you get these 4 or 5 different tools from that moment on. So now that we've done it, and we can, we use honey, visualization of honey to kind of clear your energy, and different colors to create more expansion or healing.
Right.
And she can use that now you can use that, all the time, every day. I just had someone message me, she dislocated her thumb and she showed it to me. It was painful right when it happened and it bruised awfully, but it really wasn't painful after. And she had said, you have allowed me to tap into this different energy healing than I ever knew was possible. And to me, that was like, oh, it was, that's so cool. The impact.
Let's talk about too, just a little bit, because I know meridians exist, if I remember correctly. I'm not making anything up here, but meridians exist in acupuncture, and part of when you're doing acupuncture, it's like removing the energy blocks, right?
Exactly.
So what are the meridians for people who don't know?
So in Chinese medicine, there's 12 meridians, and they're all connected into a specific organ. And so this form really blends in clear, and each organ in Chinese medicine stores a specific emotion. So like our lungs hold grief, our heart is obviously love and joy, and liver, and they're each kind of storing these different emotions that we personally take on in our life, but then we can also take on from other people by growing up. So each meridian kind of stems from those organs, and they run through all parts of the body. So if you have elbow pain, I could be specifically putting needles in different channels to support the elbow pain. And then there's other energy tools to use. But if it was physical energy, or in a physical acupuncture session, you can access different channels to really you're moving stagnation, but you can do that from anywhere as well.
Oh, wow. Cool. Share with everybody a little bit just about your background, like how you got to be a naturopathic doctor, acupuncture. To me, it's not like your average path.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so funny because I'm being a naturopath, you're like, everyone knows what it is, but they don't really. So a naturopathic doctor is very similar medical schooling as a medical doctor. We just don't do the surgeries, and we do minor surgery, but we don't do the surgery is the big difference. So we have very similar schooling through knowing the body, knowing the pharmacology, knowing how the body fails or starts to kind of unwind. But then we have this really distinguishing feature that we believe that finding the root cause of disease will shift disease. And so the root cause can be an imbalance in nutrition, or a lab can help you identify the root cause. And through all of this, along with the acupuncture training I've had, and really once COVID hit, I realized that to me, the root cause of disease is actually how your energy flows.
Right.
So that mindset is quite a lot more important than really what you're eating. Because if you're eating really healthy, but you're saying really nasty things to yourself,
right,
it doesn't matter. You could go, like my belief, like you could go to McDonald's and love yourself and be like, this is the most nourishing thing for my body and I am thriving. Not very many people that eat at McDonald's do that, but you could do that and it would be different inside of your body than if you go to McDonald's and you're like, oh, I'm such a bad person. Oh my gosh, you have so much shame and guilt around it. And so really it's aligning that mindset with how the energy you're holding in your body.
Yeah. And there's a ton of science with epigenetics and everything else that shows that what you believe and what you think about yourself, what you're eating, your body changes the gene structure in your DNA. So yeah, like helping the energy move through just makes sense from that perspective. And then your thought process accounts for something like over 50% of your well-being.
we just weren't trained about like how important that is. And we were, you know, the way we're kind of trained right now is we're looking outside of ourselves for the answers or the self-help, which I don't even like that phrase, because actually self-help can help you retrain your mind for that.
Right.
And so part of Ray of Light is getting to access your DNA and consciously choosing, okay, what am I, these other thought processes that might not be supporting me, but what am I really consciously choosing to invite in, and leadership, you know, prosperity, health and healing, love, relationships, all of that. And to take at least a small part of our day where we get to do that, and even loving ourselves, right? Because so we don't look in the mirror and say, oh my God, I love you. You know, we should, but we're working on it. You're like, oh no, there's a wrinkle.
Look, there's a wrinkle.
Exactly. So it really is this this choice, and it fits right in there with epigenetics by being able to shift that thought and saying, wait, I get to choose how I live my life and how I want to lead and how I want to be a business owner, how I want to be in my body and all of that, which to me, I want people to leave empowered and having that.
I mean, how you're thinking about yourself and how you're taking care of yourself affects how the leadership or your leadership in any area of your life is going to happen, whether it's in business or with your family or friends. And you didn't start your journey with your own practice either.
Coming out of school as a naturopath acupuncturist, I did a residency. And that was really I wanted to just be super solidified in being a doctor. Like I could identify the dangerous stuff. I just knew how to be really succinct in my delivery of naturopathic treatment plans. And actually my residency was incredible in it really embraced doing more of the natural remedies. You know, we were doing some medications, but it was empowering in that sense. And then from there, I kind of covered a couple clinics. And then I did come into a corporate setting of working in urgent care. And so as a naturopath in Oregon, there's probably 80 or 90 of us that were doing, and some are still there, but I was there for almost 2 years. So I really got that Western medical model of 15-minute visits. You know, you see cold and flu, you still got to see the scary stuff, or, you know, I mean, you know, we were stitching people and identifying acute abdominal things. I knew that wasn't my life. That wasn't my path, but it was another thing. Like I needed to understand that world and identify, how does this work? You know, now I know that, but right then I wasn't, you know, it was great money that they're paying us 6 figures. It was, you know, for a naturopath, a great thing to step into and for that experience. Well, they decided to cut all naturopathic pay by $30,000 and they gave us 30 days notice. I'm not okay with that, because actually my treatment plans in that 15-minute, you know, a lot of time were significantly more in depth than a lot of other, you know, licensed providers. And I chose, and with my husband's encouragement, to leave and start my own practice. So in 2018, I actually left a 6-figure paying job, pregnant, and started my own practice. Just a small leap. I'm a leaper. If you know, from there, that, you know, 2018 feels like a really long time ago, but it was only 2 years ago. I got more of that, you know, running a business, still kind of I was solo in a chiropractic clinic, and that wasn't quite the right place for me. And I actually moved twice in 2019.
Oh, wow.
One was by choice and the other was not by choice, but each move really pushed me in this direction of where I am now. I feel, you know, you can always look back and be like, oh, that happened because of this. And it was really painful, but now I see why it needed to happen. And ultimately leading me to, I had always had this nudge for, even when I was in urgent care, that I was supposed to be online and kind of supporting a lot more people. I used essential oil. So I thought maybe that was through the essential oil, you know, company that I was aligned with, am aligned with. And so I kind of just jumped because I was like, I knew there was this other layer. And so really once March happened and COVID happened, was the full on, okay, this is, you know, my clinic was closed. I didn't really have a choice. I had little kiddos. I wasn't gonna open up to, you know, I don't know, just have to deal with all the extra steps, you know, of reopening and that kind of stuff. So I really just went with this divine timing and creating this healing program. And then the next level of that, I now have a certification program for healers and health practitioners and coaches. So folks that they can be naturopaths. I have naturopaths, acupuncturists, PTs, OTs, and a coach as well. And really how this helps is you see people that are stuck and you've done the nutrition, you've done the exercise, you've done the mindset stuff, and they're just like, what is wrong with me? Or, there's something that's just preventing that. And that's really where the ray of light comes in and helps the different health practitioners and coaches in integrating that into their programs. Right. So that they have the energy, that deeper root cause of shifting things for their clients.
Which is amazing. I'm curious though, with divine timing and really being like, all right, I'm going to do this. Did you think about just closing the practice altogether?
You mean just stopping everything?
Yeah.
Well, one of my coaches was like, Andrea, you really could have stopped. Like you could have just been done and said you're done. And you haven't, and you've kept going because this is something you really believe in. So absolutely. It was like, we just talked about this right before Emmy and I did. It was like, there's moments where I'm like, I should just go work at Fred Meyer. Like, right. I should just go bake. I used to bake bread a lot. So yeah, there's moments where you're just like, what in the world am I doing? Yeah. And it feels lonely. And even if you're part of masterminds or whatever, you're like, am I the only one that feels this way? And it's not true. Like any entrepreneur knows, there's moments where you're like on cloud 10, and then moments where you're just like, what is happening?
Yeah. So. And that's true for every entrepreneur that I've talked to.
Yeah.
Like there's most of the time I think you're in some bandwidth of kind of like normalcy. And then there's these like super amazing highs because you just crushed it. Right. And, things are going really well, but there's also the times when things aren't working and you're like, it would be so much easier just to go get the job. Somewhere along the line, I think having support and accountability partners and being able to express that, but two, just being grounded in like, this is the mission. So it's and the purpose, and I'm going to move through it, figure out what I need to do, learn from it.
That for me usually happens right before massive growth. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like birth. So right now I'm pregnant, with our third. And I'll hit these moments where I fall apart and I'm like, I just can't do it. And then like go through this healing process. And a week later, it's just like all this stuff starts happening. And it's like, oh yeah, like I actually had to recognize that before I had my first child. I was like, where do I start to like break down, when things in this process? And so I've learned it before I was even a full-on entrepreneur. I was like, oh, you get to this point where it's hard and you want to give up and you don't give up. And then you get this reward, each of us has
again.
Okay. Yes.
What are you currently focused on in your leadership with your business?
Yes. So I am really focused on bringing in more health practitioners and coaches to become certified. So right now I have 9. And this week, I just certified my very first one. So you go through a whole process.
Right.
So that was like, yes, really that gave me this full spectrum of what's happened since March. So I have 9 certified, or not quite certified, but going through the process. So I'm looking for and expanding, actually launching next week. So 10/19, launching to health practitioners and coaches, just where I give, teach all about what I'm doing and how this can really add into your business. Having more healers become certified, because my big goal is to integrate this healing into conscious companies where we're really going into, I think of things like Patagonia or Lululemon or places where they acknowledge that helping their teams heal together is really significant and will actually exponentially allow their businesses to grow, because they're really focusing on that healthy foundation within their teams. Right. And so that's the vision that I've sort of been given. And I'm like, okay, that's where we're going. And also not something that I would have necessarily known coming into this, that, there's companies and corporations out there that are ready to integrate something where they can see the benefit in really people healing together, but not healing where it's too vulnerable. This is it's a nice healing process. So you're not sharing your life story, but you're really gaining significant tools to heal.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, as I experienced, in an hour and a half, it was gone. It's like,
like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And that happens with other pain or people coming in, like that first week of COVID, people were feeling ungrounded. They were feeling like they didn't have a voice. We didn't know what in the world, like
panic,
what's happening. And so after the sessions, they were every single person I supported that first week came back with something positive. And even people that were like, I came in not really expecting much, and they left with their pain almost gone or totally gone. And they were like, okay, that was incredible. So that really was like, I have to do this, because I wasn't expecting. I really, honestly, if 50% had come back saying that they noticed something, or even 25, I may or may not have continued, because it would have been like, yeah, well, who knows? But every single person, I was like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to do this.
Yeah, definitely. If they're getting like that significant results, what do you think, like, as you're getting ready to work with some of these conscious companies, what do you think some of the benefits will be for them as their people are feeling better and are healthier?
Yeah, so I'm envisioning them having more, their completion rates are quicker. They just almost happen miraculously or seamlessly. They're like, oh, I was expecting it to take 6 months and it took 4 months, because it's going to build so much more cohesion amongst their teams. And in a way that we almost, sometimes they want competitiveness, but it's almost like the competitiveness turns into more of this cohesion of let's work together. The vision I keep seeing is that these companies really elevate in their field. They stand out. They become almost, so the name, right, is Ray of Light. They almost become these ray of lights in that industry, because they're fully supporting their people in a way that is quite new. That you may meditate, but this is really bringing a different element into those companies.
Right. Okay. So almost a super unique experience that allows them to radiate kind of at a higher vibration, higher energy.
Right. So they're manifesting easier. They're drawing actually their ideal client in, because they're kind of clearing all the company itself is clearing all the clutter around it, and really having that clarity in its own business and mission, and then the money manifesting and the impact all gets just like cascade almost, or just exponentially grows.
Right. So in addition to the employee individually just being healthier, probably being more productive or more high performing because they feel good, and less sick days, less stress, all that stuff that we talk about regularly.
Right. And then they have tools, right? So it's never like you go to an acupuncturist and you leave and you don't get 5 needles to take home with you. No. But all of their employees, every single time they do it, they get more insight into themselves. They get their own tools, so they can be at work and like, wow, I'm feeling stressed. Oh, wait, I can do this clearing technique and like take 5 minutes outside and, do something grounding. And so it does bring in that self-awareness, different than going and getting, I love my massage, don't get me wrong. Like I love a treatment and that sort of thing, but to have that empowerment and then have tools to use every day that are different than the mindset mantras. They're different than, some of the things where you like have to train your brain to think differently. This is just like, oh, I can use this. And
anytime, like 5 minutes, it doesn't have to be hours.
Right, exactly. So to me, that's significant. And that's what people also come back and tell me, they have those tools.
Yeah. So what's one simple tool that people can be using to really be in their leadership, be in their truth on a regular basis?
So if you're a leader, and a lot of you are listening to this, you know how important your mornings are. So taking time in the morning, whether or not you meditate, I highly recommend it. Just a way to start to clear. We run so much in our head, and especially if more of your listeners are women, you really want to come into the heart space and what I call the womb space. It's a womb space whether or not you've had a child. So really just taking 5 minutes to breathe, sitting quietly, like the honey that's in the ray of light. You can just imagine either honey or warm water, like moving through your body and releasing all of the tensions down and out through the earth. And when you're breathing into your belly, breathing into the lower part, because we can breathe up in our chest and that gets us to be more like, but if we're really focusing on that belly, you can even put your hand on your belly and even on your heart, because as leaders, we're wanting to always remember to lead with our heart and our heart space and be in, I think for me, our powerhouse is our womb space. And if that word freaks you out, you can say pelvic floor, root chakra, but that's really where connecting our heart and womb, that makes us so powerful. So just breathing imagining the stress releasing into the earth, and then holding, the lower abdomen and kind of the heart space, that is really supportive. Okay. So that's one.
Like, I want to just reiterate, like, meditation to me is so important, and we don't take that 5 minutes. So, like, just breathe and it's like go, 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 go. I've got 6 billion things to do. And we are way too much in our head, allowing that mental chatter to just, talk us into or out of different places. So getting clarity, slowing down, allowing the mental chatter to dissipate, I think it's really powerful.
Yeah. And actually one of my business coach last year, who is also she's a pragmatic psychic, she had me send me her schedule, and she said, Andrea, there's no stillness in there. And I'm like, stillness? What do I need to be still for? Like, no, and she's like, I want you to literally sit and look outside and do nothing, or sit outside and do nothing. And I was like, I had to schedule these 5-minute chunks, but it made such a difference because we're so used to doing. And as a leader, we need to come into being. And that's been my message, so much right now.
Yeah. And funny that you're saying that too, because I just talked about that in my Facebook group, Tribe of Leaders, about having thinking time and giving yourself time to just do nothing and allow those thoughts and the creativity to come in.
Right. Because when I have a day where I get to be creative, I'm like, yes, it was like, I feel more human other than doing all these things. And yeah, it's absolutely, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at the meditating and then just stillness, because we're really looking at that leadership, and that's where, and being, right? So instead of the doing, because we're so good at that, shifting more and more into this being, which is that full body alignment and meditation and stillness.
And to grow your business, right, and to get to that next level, you have to look at and shift who you are being, because it's going to take different strengths, it's going to take different characteristics and different thought processes than what you have now to lead that next version of the business.
That's really perfect, because in the ray of light at the end, we merge with our higher self or our future self or our healthiest self. And that really is exactly what you said. It's who do you need to be for that next level of leadership?
Right.
And that creating that bridge, it actually, the steps just start to show up, instead of being like, I'm just here, I forgot about this higher being, or this, my leadership being, or the next step of my leadership. So yeah, that's beautiful. I love that.
So I'm curious, if somebody wanted to connect with you, one, in general, but two, they wanted to go through your certification program, how would they do that?
I have two ways. So my website, which is, we'll have that in the show notes too, but it's GRANDREAGREINER.org, and the certification program is on there. And my free gift is right in there too. You'll see it. It's a Ray of Light Meridian Therapy starter kit. And so you get—
What is in the starter kit?
The starter kit is an intro video along with a tool, an energy tool at the end. So you get to watch and learn a little bit more about me, and you get an energy tool right at the end. You get a business assessment quiz to identify any energy leaks in your business and what they are. Yeah, I know. So we identify, are you massively energetic leaky? Are you, well, not, and I didn't say massively, I just said highly, or how energetically leaky are you? Are we up high? Are we moderately? Are we pretty energetically solid? And that gives me the feedback to really help. Then we would hop on a call, and it's like, hey, you're running your business with your liver and your lungs and your kidneys. So we need to address the fear and the frustration and the grief that you're holding physically, but that's also being transposed into your leadership and into your business, and giving you tools of how to shift that for you. Yeah, so there's that. That's what I'm like excited. That's like it's just now up and live. And then you also get some resources. So meditations, I have 3 meditations on there, but it will really turn into a library of energy tools and resources. So I started with 3, and then I'll just continue to add that. And then a link into my Facebook group, because that's like what you said, like that's where I go live almost every single weekday, talking about important steps in also leadership, but healing in general, and then how to shift that into your business. And so the website is great. And then my Facebook group is Ray of Light Meridian Therapy. Okay. And that's a really great way because like I said, I'm live all the time. So you get a sense like of me and how I show up and what we talk about. And that's where my launch will happen next week too.
All right, cool. And I love the Facebook groups because it's such a great place to connect with other people that are like-minded.
Exactly. And it's like, I know you're right in the middle of the launch too. So it's just, I like it because you get a sense for people, and I like going live. So you'll see me live, giving you tons of support and it really is a growing community of support.
That's awesome. So if you're I hope everybody is interested, but you can get the starter kit and find out about the certification program on Dr. G's website. The link is in the show notes, so go check that out.
Yeah, and those are the two best ways. I mean, I'm also on Instagram, which, I'm there, but to really know me, my Facebook group, I would say is that and my website. So
yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. Like, this has been so cool. And we're going to have you back on the podcast at another time so we can see how the certification program's going and your ripple effect of working with not just companies. Because I think, I can feel that is amazing. And I think that's such an incredible way to really start powerfully shifting a lot of the fear and the divide and the polarization that we're experiencing right now.
And in a different way. So then necessarily right into the medical system. It will shift it in like this outer way, but then that comes in and does shift how we believe in healing and the divide. It's really bridging, like releasing the fear and reopening our hearts again, because we're moving through so much so quickly that it's quite easy to close off our heart and lungs and be like, ooh, I'm in survival mode. And so in order to heal and move through it, we do have to kind of go inward and get connected. So
absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that we all feel right now, because who thought that, 7 months later, we'd be still in pandemic mode, but like feeling disconnected, not being able to hang out with our friends or our family members, or doing it very carefully and not having kind of the normal routine, finding ways to reconnect with yourself and get grounded so that you can move forward is really, really important.
Yeah. And I mean, I just did a live yesterday. It really does start with us, and that we are each individual. We are the answer. Mm-hmm. And the more we really stand in that, then that builds community, that builds, this vision of support and creating the world that we want to create, that we can. And so instead of feeling isolated and alone, we learn to go inward and get comfortable.
Right.
And then it's again, like the vision I keep getting, like the ripple effect is so profound. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to being a part of it. So I'm really glad that I got to have you here and we can stay connected, etc. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This was a joy. I loved it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being a listener of the Tribe of Leaders podcast. I am so grateful for each and every episode that you tune in and listen to. And I hope that you get a ton of value that you can implement starting today. And I do have just a quick favor. If you wouldn't mind hopping on to wherever it is that you listen to podcasts and leave us a rating and review, it would help us tremendously so that the Tribe of Leaders podcast can be found more easily and help inspire other entrepreneurial leaders.